The evening sky above the alien colony glowed with soft purple light. It was the hour when the twin moons began to rise, and the marketplace slowly filled with tired workers, traders, and wandering children. Standing near a repair stall, a human mechanic named Evan Holt tightened the last bolt on a damaged energy generator. His hands were covered with dust, and a faint humming sound filled the air as the machine came back to life. Evan enjoyed this hour. People from every species came to him with broken tools, cracked devices, and old machines that needed new life. He was quiet, calm, and always working with full focus. He wiped sweat from his forehead and reached for his next repair job when he suddenly felt a soft tug on his sleeve. He turned. Standing beside him was a small alien girl, no older than 6. Her skin was smooth and light green, with faint glowing lines running from her cheeks to her neck. Her eyes were large, shining like blue stars, and she held a small cracked crystal sphere in trembling hands. Her voice was tiny, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Human, can you fix my toy?" Evan blinked in surprise. Children from her species rarely approached humans so directly. Humans were considered strange, unpredictable, too emotional, but the little girl looked terrified. Her tiny fingers clutched the toy tightly as if her whole life depended on it. Before Evan could answer, she spoke again, this time her voice breaking. "My mom dropped it when she collapsed." Evan's breath caught. "Collapsed? Where is she?" The girl slowly lifted one shaking arm and pointed toward the heart of the marketplace. Evan followed her gesture, and his heart tightened. There, lying on the cold stone ground, was an alien woman with shimmering silver skin, motionless. People stood around her but kept their distance. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered nervously. Her species, known as the Vurin, could release dangerous spores when stressed. Many were afraid to go near her, but one detail struck Evan the most. The little girl was all alone. He crouched down to her level, speaking gently. "What's your name?" The girl sniffed. "Leary. And your mom, did she fall suddenly?" Leary nodded quickly, tears forming in her bright eyes. She looked scared. She held her chest. "And then she dropped my toy and fell." Evan looked at the cracked sphere she held. It wasn't just a normal toy. A faint pulse came from inside it, like a soft heartbeat. Something was very wrong. "Take me to her," Evan said, grabbing his repair kit. The girl grabbed his hand instantly. Her grip was small but desperate. They hurried through the crowd, pushing past curious aliens and frightened merchants. When they reached the collapsed woman, Evan immediately knelt down. Her breathing was shallow, her skin dimming, pulsing weakly as if she was fading. A soft trail of blue spores glowed beneath her, but they seemed harmless, more like distress signals than poison. Evan checked her pulse. Weak, very weak. Leary fell to her knees beside her mother and shook her arm gently. "Mom, wake up, please." The woman didn't move. Evan looked at the cracked toy again. "Leary, you said she dropped this when she collapsed?" "Yes," she whispered. "Mom said it helps her stay calm. If it breaks, her body becomes weak." Evan felt cold inside. "What do you mean? Is it some kind of medicine?" Leary shook her head. "It is her heart helper. She hid it inside a toy so bad people cannot find it." "Heart helper?" Evan slowly opened the cracked toy, using gentle pressure. Inside, glowing crystal layers pulsed like veins. A tiny core in the center throbbed irregular, unstable, flickering like a dying ember. This wasn't a toy. It was a biotech life support device. If it failed completely, the mother would die. Evan swallowed hard. "Leary, I need to fix this immediately." "If not, I know," Leary whispered. "Mom told me." Evan scanned the area. A group of soldiers stood far away, shouting orders. They began securing the area, placing barriers and scanners as if something dangerous had triggered the collapse. One soldier shouted, "Back away from the Varen female. She may release toxic spores in the next minute." Evan looked at the mother again. Her skin was trembling. The spores around her feet brightened. Leary screamed, "No! Don't touch her. Don't move her. She will get worse." Evan took a deep breath. He couldn't repair the device here in the open. And he couldn't leave the mother in the middle of the crowd like this. He made a quick decision. "Leary, help me lift her. My shop is close by. I can fix the toy there." Leary's eyes widened with fear. "But people will be scared." "Then they can be scared," Evan said firmly. "Your mom needs help." With surprising bravery, the little girl helped him raise her mother's upper body. Evan put his arms under the woman and lifted her carefully. She was lighter than he expected, but her body trembled with weakness. The crowd stepped back immediately as they moved. Some shouted warnings. Others called Evan crazy, but Leary walked beside him, holding the cracked toy, staring at it as if her whole world was inside it. They reached the repair shop, a small workshop filled with old tools, broken machines, wires, and glowing screens. Evan placed the mother on a soft padded bench. Leary stood close, hugging the cracked sphere to her chest. "Can you fix it, human?" Evan turned on his lights and examined the broken device. The crystal layers were misaligned. The pulse core was unstable. One of the microbio nodes was cracked. If it fully broke, the device would shut down. He spoke softly, trying to calm the child. "I will fix it. But it's complex. It may take time." Leary wiped her tears with her sleeve. "I will stay here. I will not cry. I will be brave like Mom told me." Evan felt something warm inside him. The child's courage reminded him of his younger sister. Back on Earth. He placed the tools beside the glowing device and began working. Tiny sparks danced as he carefully realigned the crystal veins. The pulse core flickered with every adjustment. The workshop filled with faint humming sounds as machines scanned the sphere's internal structure. Leary silently climbed onto a stool beside the workbench. She rested her chin on her hands and watched every movement. Suddenly, a deep rumble shook the ground. Evan froze. "What was that?" he asked. Leary's small voice trembled. "The ground monsters. Mom said they are waking." Evan frowned. Ground monsters? That didn't make sense, but the rumble grew louder, shaking tools off shelves. A screen flickered, showing seismic warnings. Something underground was moving. More vibration. More noise. Evan tightened his grip on the device. "Leary, stay back." The lights flickered again. Leary looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. "Human, please fix it before Mom dies." The broken pulse core flashed dangerously, its glow dimming like a candle in the wind. Evan's hands shook for a moment. Then he steadied himself. "I will, I promise." Outside, soldiers shouted emergency orders. The tremor became stronger. Something huge was approaching the surface. But Evan ignored everything. His focus was only on the dying woman and the brave little girl beside him. He worked faster, connecting wires, stabilizing the core, aligning the crystals. The device's pulses began to synchronize. Slowly, uncertainly, but time was running out. Leary whispered again, voice trembling with fear and hope. "Human, hurry." And then, a powerful thud from outside made the entire workshop shake. Screws fell from shelves. A lamp crashed to the floor. The pulse core inside the toy flickered again. Evan tightened the last screw on the core chamber. "One more minute," he muttered, "one more minute, or she won't survive." The workshop lights flickered again as the ground tremor slowly faded. Evan steadied himself against the bench while the strange alien device pulsed gently under his hands. The cracked sphere glowed faintly now, the tiny pulse core slowly coming back to life, but it was still unstable. Leary sat close to her unconscious mother on the padded bench, holding her mother's hand with both of her tiny hands. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared at her mother's still face with wide, worried eyes. Evan kept working. "Leary," he said softly, "I need you to stay brave for a little longer." The little alien nodded, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "I am brave. Mom said I must be." Her voice was small, but strong. Evan focused back on the device. He tapped the crystal layers, realigning them through careful movements. Each adjustment sent a soft wave of blue light rippling through the sphere, but the pulse core still flickered. He needed to stabilize it completely, or it would fail again. Outside the workshop, shouted voices echoed. Soldiers were running down the street, heavy boots slamming against the stone ground. Alarms wailed across the marketplace. Something large, something dangerous was moving underground. The tremors were increasing. Evan tried blocking the outside noise from his mind. Saving Leary's mother came first. He leaned closer and whispered to himself, "Come on. Come on, hold together." A spark jumped from the wiring, making Leary flinch. "Is it breaking again?" she asked in a trembling voice. "No," Evan said, trying to sound calm. "This is normal. I just need to adjust the pulse." He tapped a sensor on his table, scanning the device. The screen displayed internal readings. Pulse unstable. Core cracked. Bio node fractured. Memory layer damaged. Memory layer? That caught Evan's attention. He slowly removed the outer shell of the sphere and found a thin strip of crystal under the pulse core. It was glowing faintly, like a thread made from frozen light. "What is this?" Evan whispered. I looked up. "It is Mom's singing." He stared at her. "Her singing?" "Yes," Leary said softly. "Mom recorded her lullabies. They make the pulse calm. They make her heart calm too." Evan swallowed hard. The device wasn't just life support. It was emotional support. A memory of love keeping her alive. Humans had machines. The Varan species had memories in crystal form. He gently touched the memory strip. It pulsed weakly, almost like it was breathing. "She sings to the toy every night," Leary whispered. "Then the toy sings to her. It keeps her body quiet and safe." Evan suddenly understood. If he fixed everything except the memory strip, the device still might fail. The mother's heart depended on it, but the memory crystal was cracked almost in the center. One wrong touch would shatter it completely. Evan took a deep breath, wiped his hands, and began repairing the crystal fibers with the finest tools he had. Each tiny movement made sweat drip down his forehead. One slip could destroy the memory forever. While he worked, he asked gently, "Leary, why did your mother hide this as a toy?" Leary hugged her knees. "Mom said bad people want it." "Bad people? Why?" Leary looked down at her feet. "Mom is not just a normal Varan. She is important." "How important?" Evan pressed. Leary hesitated. Her glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "She is a peacemaker." Evan's hand stopped moving. Peacemaker, in Varan society. That meant one thing, a diplomat of the highest rank, one who negotiated between alien governments and species. So she was being hunted? Evan asked slowly. Leary nodded. Then the attack in the marketplace. Evan whispered to himself. Wasn't random. Someone had targeted her mother. Someone wanted her dead. And the toy, the hidden device, was the key to her survival. Evan's stomach felt cold. If he didn't fix this fast, Leary would lose everything. A sudden boom outside the workshop made Leary jump. Soldiers shouted orders. Something huge roared underground. Evan looked toward the door. What is happening out there? Leary shook her head. Something bad wakes when Mom is hurt. Her species has old enemies. They live under the ground. They smell fear. Evan frowned. You mean the tremors are because of her collapse? Maybe, Leary whispered. The ground rumbled again, shaking tools off the workbench. But Evan stayed focused. He carefully sealed the crack in the memory crystal using a thin line of bioglue. The crystal responded with a faint hum, like the echo of a distant lullaby. He smiled in relief. Good, good. It's holding. Leary exhaled shakily. Will Mom wake soon? Not yet, Evan said gently. I must connect the memory to the pulse core first. As he worked, the workshop door suddenly rattled loudly. Someone was banging on it from outside. Liri froze. Her eyes filled with fear. Evan stepped closer to the door. Who's there? Silence. Then a distorted voice whispered through the crack. Open. The door, human. The voice wasn't from a soldier. It was rough, cold, and filled with hatred. Leary grabbed Evan's arm tightly. They found us. Who? Evan asked, but he already knew. The ones hunting her mother. Another heavy bang hit the door. The metal frame bent slightly. Evan rushed back to the device. He didn't have time. They were breaking in. He worked faster than ever, hands moving with a mix of fear and determination. He reconnected wires, sealed cracks, adjusted the core, and pressed the memory crystal gently into its slot under the pulse. Outside, the attackers hissed and growled, their silhouettes visible through the frosted glass. Human, one of them snarled. Give us the Varin woman, and we may let you live. Leary hid behind the bench, shaking. Evan didn't answer. He kept working. The door shook again. A dent appeared. Splinters of metal flew out. He tightened the final bolt just as the pulse core glowed bright blue, steady. Alive, strong. He gasped. It's working. But before he could react, the door finally snapped open with a loud crash. 3 tall alien attackers stormed inside. Their bodies were dark, almost insect-like, with sharp limbs and glowing red eyes. They hissed as they saw Leary and her unconscious mother. One pointed at the mother with a clawed hand. There she is. Take her heart. Evan grabbed his welding torch and held it like a weapon. Stay away from them. The attackers laughed, a horrible hissing sound. Human, you cannot fight us. Evan stepped in front of Leary. You'd be surprised. The attackers moved forward, but before they could reach, the repaired sphere in Evan's hands emitted a bright flash. A soft, warm wave exploded from the core and spread across the room. The attackers recoiled, screeching. Their bodies trembled in pain. What is this power? One cried. Evan stared at the sphere. It was alive. Fully repaired. Fully activated. But something else began happening. The light spread to the mother's body, and she started breathing again. Her chest rose slowly. Her shimmering skin brightened. Mom! Leary whispered. She wasn't awake yet, but her life was returning. The attackers backed up, covering their heads. Retreat! That device awakened something dangerous. They scrambled toward the door, but the ground rumbled again, stronger than ever. Evan grabbed Leary and pulled her close. Stay beside me. A loud crack split the floor in the marketplace outside. Screams echoed through the streets. Something massive was rising from beneath the ground. The attackers fled, disappearing into the shadows. Evan stared out the workshop door in shock. The ground split, open wider. A huge shadow with glowing eyes slowly emerged from the darkness. Leary whispered, voice trembling like a leaf, "It is here. The thing that smells fear." Evan looked at the repaired sphere in his hands. They had saved the mother. But now something far worse had come. The ground shook again, more violently than before. Dust fell from the workshop ceiling, tools rattled on shelves, and a long crack crawled across the street outside like a black lightning bolt. Evan held Leary tightly as she stared toward the open doorway with terrified eyes. From the crack in the ground, a massive shadow rose. Its body was covered in stone-like plates, glowing veins, and jagged claws that scraped the earth. Its eyes burned with red fire, and every breath it took made the ground tremble. Leary whispered, barely breathing, "It is a burrow beast. They follow fear and hurt those who carry it." Evan swallowed hard. "So it came because your mother is dying?" "Yes," Leary whispered. "They hate our kind. They smell our weakness." The burrow beast lifted its head and released a deep roar that shook the entire workshop. Soldiers outside screamed and ran for cover. Buildings trembled. The beast slammed its huge claw into a stall, crushing it like paper. Evan knew they didn't have much time. The repaired sphere pulsed in his hands, warm and bright. The heartbeat inside it was strong now, clear, rhythmic. The device was completely stable. He rushed to Leary's mother. "Leary, stay close. Your mom will wake soon." Leary held her mother's hand tightly, eyes full of hope and fear. Outside, the beast roared again and moved directly toward the workshop. Evan placed the glowing sphere on the mother's chest. A soft wave of blue light spread across her body. Her chest began rising more steadily. Her breathing deepened. Her silver skin grew brighter with every passing second. Leary sobbed with relief. "Mom, come back. Please." The burrow beast smashed another building. Soldiers tried shooting at it, but their weapons barely scratched its stone-like skin. Evan stood between the mother and the doorway. He held the welding torch again, not because it would do much against the beast, but because he refused to step aside. The beast approached the workshop, its huge shadow covering the doorway. It lowered its head, sniffed the air, and released a low growl. Leary grabbed Evan's sleeve. "It smells Mom's fear. She must wake. She must." Evan nodded. "She will." The sphere on her chest suddenly pulsed bright, almost blinding. A soft humming sound filled the air. The memory layer inside the sphere activated, releasing a gentle song, a lullaby in the Varen language. It echoed around the workshop, peaceful and warm. I gasped. Her voice. Her song. Evan watched as the unconscious woman's eyes slowly opened. Her glowing silver eyes fluttered, then focused on her daughter. Her voice was weak but alive. "Leary, my little one." Leary burst into tears. "Mom." But there was no time for celebration. The burrow beast roared again, louder, angrier. The workshop walls shook. The beast slammed its claw against the ground, breaking through the front stones and pulling itself closer. The mother slowly looked toward the doorway. Even half awake, her eyes widened with fear. Evan stood firm. "Don't move. Save your strength." The mother's voice trembled. "It came for us. For my weakness." Evan clenched his fists. "Not while I'm here." The beast pushed its head through the broken wall. Its glowing eyes staring directly at Evan, its hot breath smelled like burning metal. Leary screamed and hid. Behind her mother, the beast raised its claw ready to strike. Evan had only seconds to act. He grabbed the glowing sphere from the mother's chest and held it outward. "If you can heal her, then do it again." The sphere flashed. A shockwave burst out. The beast roared in pain and stepped back. The mother gasped. The device. It reacts to her memories. To love, to calm. Evan stared at the sphere. "Then tell it what to do." The mother placed her hand on the glowing device. "I will try." She closed her eyes. Her breath slowed. The lullaby grew stronger, filling the workshop with soft melody. The sphere shone brighter, sending waves of calm energy across the room. Leary clung to her mother, whispering the lullaby along with her. The beast roared again, but this time, it staggered. The calming energy hit it like a shock. Its glowing eyes flickered. Its stone plates vibrated. It stumbled backward, scratching the ground as if confused. The mother whispered weakly, "It feels the memory of peace, not fear." For the first time, The burrow beast hesitated. It lowered its head, sniffing the glowing sphere in confusion. Evan stepped forward slowly, heart pounding. "Easy, easy." The beast growled softly, but didn't attack. The sphere pulsed again, sending another wave of calming light. The beast stepped back farther. It tilted its head, then began sinking slowly into the crack in the ground. "Lir," I gasped. "It is leaving." Evan exhaled in relief. "Good, go." The massive creature disappeared underground, sliding back into the darkness from where it came. The crack in the street slowly sealed behind it. Silence filled the marketplace. The only sound was the soft hum of the sphere. And Leary's quiet sobs of relief. Evan rushed to the mother. "How do you feel?" She gave a weak smile. "Alive. Thanks to you." Leary hugged her tightly. "Mom, he fixed your toy. And he protected us." The mother looked at Evan with grateful eyes. "No human has ever done this for us. You saved my life. And my child." Evan scratched the back of his head, embarrassed. "I just did what I could." She shook her head. "You did more. Much more." She held the sphere, now glowing softly like a living heart. "This device carries my memories. My love, my calm. But today, it carried your courage." I felt it. Evan swallowed, unsure how to respond. The mother slowly sat up, still weak but conscious. "I am Sarai, one of the Varen peacemakers. The attackers wanted to end my negotiations. They wanted chaos. But you stopped them." Evan nodded. "They won't stop. They'll come again." Sarai looked at the sphere. "This device is no longer just mine. When you repaired it, you changed its memory core. Part of your will. Your strength is inside now." Leary hugged Evan's arm. "I knew humans fix everything." Evan smiled, but Sarai's expression turned serious. "Evan Holt, they will hunt you now. They will fear you. They will want this device. They will want Leary." Evan looked at Leary, who held his hand tightly. "Let them come," he said quietly. "I'll protect both of you." Sarai gave him a respectful bow of the Varen culture, a bow only given to heroes. "You saved a peacemaker. And you saved her child," she said softly. "Today, humanity has proven itself again." Evan gently lifted Leary. "We're going to be okay, little one." She nodded with a tiny smile. "Because you're here." Sarai sighed in relief, holding the glowing sphere to her heart. Outside, soldiers gathered, staring at the ruined ground. The retreating beast prince, and the cracked buildings. But inside the small workshop, a human, a little alien girl, and her mother shared a moment of peace. A moment born from courage. From kindness. From the simple act of fixing a toy. That turned out to be a heart.